Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Culture Wave Media review of Invincible Season 4. Today, we have just passed episode 6, which, respectfully, I think is another banger. I'm Sean Villa. I'm joined by Mikey Peniston.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
And let's break into this. I have one big critique, and I want to start off on the bad because I think that a lot of this episode is terrific. I'm just going to run in on my one thing that I'm a little iffy about because it has a big implication.
Okay.
And that is Thrag, who seems like a faker right now, dude. I am not buying the aura that I feel like has been built up for this guy through Instagram comments for 3 years.
Okay.
You know, like people when they're talking about Thrag are stoked on this guy.
Yeah.
They're like, just wait until you meet him. And like, he kind of just seems like a loser.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's intentional or like, I think I'm push and pulled a little bit between the VA and the way that he looks in the art style, because I've seen some of the comic panels and he looks like very big and imposing and scary.
Yeah.
And in the show, I feel like that like aura, for lack of a better word, doesn't carry over as well. But I guess before I kind of like break into that anymore, what are your initial thoughts on this guy? Because we see a lot of him in this new episode.
So with Thrag, I definitely agree in a lot of areas. I feel like I've also been overhyped through Instagram comments and just the memes and everything at this point. So I know he's got to be somewhat OD. Somewhat maybe, but you're right. I think it's very intentional what they're doing. I do. I think that they're trying to almost like breadcrumb us in a way where it's like they're building up to what could be like one of the worst beatings we've ever seen.
Hopefully
one of them get, from Thrag. It would be really cool. I think that the only downside to that is that they're not giving us any breadcrumbs. It's just more of like, here's the bread at the very end,
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm also in the same boat where I feel like he is kind of like a poser right now. He's just wearing his big old his
big cloak.
Yeah,
he's got a skull.
Yeah,
he's like
right?
he comes off as someone that like should be cooler than I think it's feeling.
Yeah,
which I feel like is kind of where my issue is, because the idea, like in theory, of a guy who's presenting is like ultra dangerous, but the way that like he comes across is just kind of like, like it doesn't seem like that big a deal, and then he comes in and just like tears up, which I think is kind of what's gonna happen. Like it seems like we're building to like this grand confrontation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like for now, I feel like it might be somewhat unintentional to kind of have him come off in this like almost like skittish way, where it's like, I guess like that kind of puts me into a larger point, which is that I almost feel like this war is going too well. I know we're only like 2 episodes into it.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Conquest was like the big bad, though.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that Conquest fight was like a level that I think like kind of topped off like the emotional core of the war so far.
Okay.
And like I think what I guess I was looking for was like, okay, we killed Conquest. He's gone, the big bad. So now we're going to introduce Thrag to kind of fill his shoes, and I just haven't been proven that like that's going to be worthwhile yet,
And I do agree with that very much so. I agree. Again, I think that it's still a build up only because you're right. This war has been going insanely easy for them from what we've seen. It's actually kind of ridiculous that Invincible is like the only person at this point that's like gotten beat up from it. But like I feel like with each episode and with each like kind of battle that we're witnessing with them, they are still fighting the Viltrumites. So it seems very much like what they're doing is with each battle, they're killing off a select few of the Viltrumites. And I think that we'll get to the very end where there's like maybe like one more and Thrag and potentially the return of maybe one other person, because they keep teasing that this person can't die. Potentially. You're like, what?
What are you talking about?
Conquest?
Oh, Conquest. Well, no, I mean, I thought the teaser at the end of the episode was very explicitly a joke, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know, because it like the way it cuts like out from the music and it's just like, no, he's like gone. I feel like if we were gonna see anything of like he's still alive, we would have seen it in this tag.
Okay.
I don't see him actually being alive. If Conquest is alive again, like I think I might stop watching the show. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm gonna be so pissed off.
Yeah, because what?
We have to kill people. We gotta see. I don't know. I think I feel super positive about this season overall. It's a shame that I really don't like episode 4 at all. Because I think in general, what this season is doing is kind of bringing to the forefront everything that is interesting about the show.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care about the shit going on at Earth. And the fact that like we don't have to keep cutting away from like this war and like the big bads of the show, the Viltrumites, and like all these great characters that are together. Like we're never leaving that space. So
Yeah.
even if I have like little nitpicks and shit with like what's going on episode by episode in this plot, I'm so much happier with like some iffy shit and a great plot than some great stuff in an iffy plot. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I feel like this is like the best content that we're getting from it, and I hope it's not like the only good content that
Right.
moving forward. But like it's been consistent, which is really rare for Invincible, which I think is holding up. I think that you're right. That's like, it was a good way to put it as far as like all of the good parts they're bringing to the forefront.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're finally like this is all I've ever cared about, and yeah, and it's cool also to just see like them like slowly start to form like the team that
Mhm.
they are. It's really cool, honestly, but it's also cool in the midst of it. And I'm sure this we could use this as a transition into like the actual episode, but it's cool to see in a short amount of I can't even say a short amount of time because I guess it's a long time that they're living out in this episode, but in a short time for us watching it as
Yeah.
a viewer, the dynamic between the father and son dynamic.
Mhm.
I think that's really interesting to see in the midst of this whole war
Yeah.
and that they're having to resolve certain things and conflicts in the midst. So I
Yeah.
think that's where it's also really, really intriguing.
I agree with you. I mean, I think show wide, the most interesting part of the show is almost always orbiting around Nolan.
Mhm.
Like almost everything that's like amazing about this show happens with him.
Yeah.
Minus Conquest, I feel like. I feel
Yeah.
like that Conquest fight was the last thing that I was like, wow, that was peak.
Yeah.
You know, and now Nolan, you know, being a part of the central cast again is so like satisfying. It
Mhm.
feels like we went such a long time, literally years without seeing the guy,
Yeah.
and now he's back in the central cast and he's with other characters that we love. Like you know, I'm a huge fan of Alan. Mark's great. Oliver's really come into his own. He's an enjoyable character, and I'm liking these new faces. Like I think his name's Thaddeus, the like rebel leader, the guy with the beard,
I
Optimus
believe-
Prime.
Yeah.
He's cool. He's growing on me. Tech Jacket, I think, is pretty cool. She's growing on me.
Mhm.
So like, I just like that we have like a real team of like super enjoyable characters, and it almost feels like they did like the Avengers in the right way. You know,
Yeah.
like there's no people on this team that I'm like, fucking, who cares? You know, like it
Yeah.
would be like if we pulled like, you know, Immortal or something. Like if Immortal was on this team, I'd be like, okay, there's like the, you know, the weak, whatever it is, whatever that expression is, like the weak sauce on the team. You know, so we don't have that. I think everybody here is compelling.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, because Nolan's here, we're finally getting, I mean, literally seasons of payoff to, you know, his arcs and his relationships with Mark, with Oliver, like all this great stuff that's happening. So I agree. I think the highlight of this episode for me is that relationship between him and Oliver.
Yeah.
Because it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
You know, we've had to wait such a long time to see him actually interact with the other characters, and we're getting that. So even if there's like little hiccups here and there, I think like generally speaking the plot's moving. It feels like, I don't know if you're a Harry Potter guy.
I am.
Yeah, so like, you know Harry Potter, like there's a couple movies in there where it's just sort of like, you know, we're going on a wacky adventure, and then like towards the end they actually start like progressing the plot and like shit's actually happening.
100%.
That's kind of what this feels like to me.
Yeah. Specifically of the Harry Potter movies, oh my gosh, I must instead of sound like a fake fan for forgetting which one it is, but the one where like him and Hermione go back in time and like
Yeah, that's
is that the is that Prisoner of Azkaban? Okay.
I think.
Yeah, specifically that where you kind of get like the side quests, but like then it all comes full circle. I agree. I 100% agree. I think that there's so much heart in this too, which I think Invincible kind of always stood on, but it was like the heart was hidden in like random areas, and then you're like, I didn't want that there. You know? So it was like, so to see it again in the forefront is really cool. I felt like seeing Oliver and Nolan together were just like, it wasn't something I kind of thought I needed to see, to be honest. It was one of those things where it was like, oh, I kind of forgot that they were even like related.
Mhm.
Like that's his dad. I'm like, oh, because you're so focused on like the forefront of the Mark relationship, and so for them to kind of like be able to like bring that out in the midst of like them kind of like trying to be there for Mark at the same time as like a connecting force, it was really good writing. I feel like it was really good writing. The pieces that they used in this episode, especially with the two of them, it was really just interesting to see. I think Oliver is always going to be annoying no matter what to me.
Yeah, he's got some teen angst.
Right?
I mean, the guy's 2 years old. Give him time.
Right,
you know?
you're right.
He's,
It's
he's a
like-
young lad.
Yeah, you're right. I got ease up, but but he's just like I think it's cool to see this, because I guess at the time when we first were introduced to these characters, Mark was like of an age where he was still mature enough.
Mm.
So to see like Nolan have to interact in this level of dad with like, I don't want to say adolescence, but like you said, he's like still so young in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
world. Like it's cool to see it. And yeah.
Right, like Mark has become an adult, and now Omni-Man is trying to like almost fix his relationship with like when he beat up Mark.
Yeah.
You know, like Oliver is kind of the stand-in for like the son he left behind, and he's about, I mean, a little bit younger,
Yeah.
but relatively like probably is bringing him back to like, oh, this is like how my son thought of me before. I have like a fresh start almost with this kid,
Yeah.
and I think that's really interesting. I agree. I think that's super compelling. Everything with Nolan's compelling all the time. Like he's really like I think the thematic heart of the show,
Yeah.
which is like a little iffy because I feel like normally your main character is supposed to be like the thematic like heart of the show. But I mean, Mark is as interesting as he's been in this season and last season. I think I'm liking this more. Like he's finally got his shit together and is gonna like kill people mode that
Yeah.
he's in. And I like that you know, like his morality, while being like a little questionable,
Mhm.
is getting amplified because of the stakes, and I don't think they're going to hold him to like that morality standard that they normally do. Like on
Yeah.
Earth, he kills an alien and Cecil goes like, how could you ever do this, what is wrong with you? And now like he's in space, he's at war, like of course he's got to kill Conquest.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Nolan's not going to sit him down and be like, hey, like maybe we could have taken him prisoner, you know, like we're going to skip over all that like nonsense that I don't really care about.
Yeah.
So I think it's just it feels good to be in this arc. I really enjoy this arc of the show. And like you, I'm kind of worried that like, you know, past here, like, are we gonna like continue to get peak anymore?
Yeah.
Because like I'm sure there will be highlights. Like obviously the show's gonna keep going. So like presumably like Thrag will survive, or like the Viltrumites will do whatever. We're on our way to Viltrum right now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where episode 7 I think is going to pick up, and episode 8 will probably wrap up whatever's going to happen there. If I had to guess, the coalition and our squad are probably going to be doing really well for like episode 7, and then somewhere in there shit's going to go wrong, and then it's going to go really wrong.
Yeah.
And like someone's probably going to die. You know, probably be like fucking Space Racer or something, because they don't like to kill like their main character. But someone's probably gonna die. They're gonna get their asses whooped. They're gonna have to flee. And now it's like, oh shit, dude. Like maybe we got to use this virus that they keep talking about, right?
Yeah.
Which is funny because we're gonna be covering The Boys, and they're both rotating around this superhero killing virus right now.
That's so true.
But that's kind of how I see this going, and I think that right now, like just this war effort of like everybody's in space, like all this great character work is happening. Like we're putting people who have inner conflict with each other in a ship with really high tension, and that's
Yeah.
just like a recipe for good TV.
100%.
So I worry that like if all this shit kind of goes well, or like Omni-Man and Mark heal their relationship and everything's all like hunky-dory, and then they go back to Earth and now they're fighting Toilet Man again, you know, it's just not going to be as compelling, which is kind of the concern I always have about this show, of like, wow, it's super compelling right now,
Yeah.
you know, like it's going to go wrong again. So I am staying positive because I think right now this is a good episode, and this has been a very good season so far.
I agree. And I think it also leaves that whole like question of like us going back, oh man, like it's really peak right now. We've seen bad. Will it stay this way? I think it's also a question to what else is left, to be honest.
Right.
Because it's like we are now in like the height of the show. What this is, I think, what we've been building towards. So like if it's this easy for them to get through it, I do agree with you. In this season, the season finale, there will be probably a major upset that will lead us into the next season. But then after that, like what?
Yeah, because you don't
You
want
know?
it to leave after that.
Right.
Like it's so exciting right now because it feels like a finale level
Yeah.
plot, you know, of like, oh man, they're going after the huge, like the big bad of the show.
Mhm.
They're gonna take down these Viltrumites, and like they're beating their ass, like they're destroying the Viltrumites. And then like even if shit kind of goes wrong on Viltrum and like they get whooped back, like I know this show, we're gonna go back to Earth.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are they just gonna like have a reprieve and be like, all right, we'll regroup, train on Earth, and then we'll go back and get them? Or like, I don't know. I'm trying to find like a hopeful avenue of how the show can maintain being interesting past this invasion, because this feels like a huge like Act 3 climax of the story event, like you're saying. Like either way that it goes, it feels like, how do we get bigger than this in an interesting way?
Yeah.
You'd have to kind of like subvert what the show is, which I feel like is about trying to get rid of these Viltrumites and solve this problem.
Yeah.
So if they solve the problem, or if they're just like, we're not strong enough yet, either way, it kind of leads to just like more uninteresting stuff for me. Like I don't know. We haven't read the comics, people. So calm down. Put so get your hands off your keyboards. Maybe it gets super compelling and they find some kind of interesting way to make this work.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, and I think we kind of feel similar at Culture Wave at large. The people that cover the show, which is that Invincible is a show that has really, really high highs, but it kind of plays with your trust sometimes.
Yeah.
It kind of plays with our trust.
100%.
I feel like I know there's like a big thing with this show in the online community that people love to complain about this show and shit on it and say the animation doesn't look good or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And I try not to be that person. I just think that I don't know. I something about like maybe season 2 and like the weaker parts of season 3 just instilled something in me of like this show does have the capacity to be like really boring for like a decent stretch of time.
Yeah.
So it's worrisome. But I don't want to get negative and catastrophizing because ideally this stays great until the show wraps up.
100%.
So I guess we'll see.
But I also agree with you in the sense that despite everything going on right now and as cool as it is, they do at some point need to bring it back to earth in some way or another, just because there's so much of like, even in this season, they still set up so much like Eve being pregnant, like the whole mom and dad.
And now she's 2 months pregnant at least.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot longer. Like they could get back and the kid to be born. I think that personally, what I think will end up happening is I could see an upset happening, or maybe they get close to like winning and then something happens, or they kill somebody and then they come back. It's one of the typical Invincible storylines.
Right.
But I do see like the Viltrumites end up coming back to Earth and finishing that battle there, essentially. And that could be really interesting. But again, after that needs to be the ending.
Oh, so it's like you're saying like this invasion fails, and then Thrag is like, coming to you next.
Yeah.
It's like, and now they've got to like prepare Earth.
Essentially.
And everyone's there trying to figure out like how to,
Yeah, and it could be even come as like even like a surprise attack where it's like then it's even more like then you can get people like I don't want to see Cecil's face ever again, to be honest. But like
Mark needs to kill Cecil, dude. If Mark doesn't kill Cecil, I don't understand the mentality. Like you've got to be like, bro, it's over for you. Like, have you seen? There's been like this AI clip going around of Mark being like, Cecil, funniest thing, I saw Conquest in space. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that. And it's like that exact scenario needs to happen because like, what was he thinking, dude?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think you just brought up a really good point that like there is possibly some very compelling stuff to come of this.
Yeah.
I think the concern is that like I guess my biggest grievance with the show is its like willingness to fall back on like very comic booky like Spider-Man stories, of like, all right, we're fighting the lizard, where it's like the episode before you were fighting Thanos.
Yeah.
So it's like not as interesting.
So
and
true.
I think bringing like all of these people, this cast, if we bring them to Earth, maybe it will set a precedent of like, okay, like Doc Seismic can no longer be the center of an episode with Omni-Man on Earth.
Yeah.
Like it just can't happen. Like obviously he's gonna just destroy this fucking guy. So like maybe that's where it's going. Like we finally crossed this threshold of like the stakes are gonna stay high and like the whole cast is gonna be together and we're gonna have this drama and like like having a whole season of Omni-Man on Earth trying to repair his relationships is good enough.
Yeah.
Like even if we have to deal with bogus Mark, dealing with the devil guy or whatever is going on there, like fine, as long as we have some like compelling other shit. And I think like that's the potential that I don't want squandered.
100%. It could also even be really. I don't want it squandered either. Like I think that there's so much potential in it, and it should end there. Honestly, next season very well should be the last season. With the way things are playing out, just hearing how we're talking.
I don't think it is, dude. I don't even know if we're halfway through the comic run from what I've heard.
That's insane.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It feels like this is going fast, right?
Right.
Like maybe this should be like a whole season of the war. Maybe it is. Maybe this is a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they get to the planet and he's like, actually, I'm your dad, Mark, or something, and there's like some big crazy twist. I have no idea.
Yeah, it could make sense.
But this does feel like it should be, like tonally, it's the end of the show. It feels like. So really, I don't know. I don't know where this is going.
It doesn't, but it could. And another thing that could be cool is I feel like most of that team that Nolan killed when he was on Earth, like the Justice League, essentially. Most of them are dying out at this point because none of them are as strong as these people. So it would be interesting to see if they did come to Earth if the team, they're like this team that we're watching form now, almost played a role in that without
It's like,
Cecil.
yeah, like the new Guardians.
Yeah, maybe Cecil can die. Maybe they'll all kill him in that sense, so that they could just
Oh,
be like their own team. You
they
know what I'm
do pull
saying?
like that medieval shit where they each grab a leg and stretch them, you know, just rip them up.
Yeah,
That'd be
the
crazy.
good old Cecil
The
stretch.
Cecil Stretch. That'd be the name of the episode. The Cecil Stretch. Episode 8, The Cecil Stretch, will be covered 2 weeks from now on Culture Wave Media.
It will be.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't have like too much to say about this episode. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of like exciting action. You know, Mark with a beard looks sick.
Yeah.
I like that look. Like, there is some great character work going on. We have like some pretty compelling action scenes. I love that the stakes are staying high and we're not getting like boring or egregiously bad fights. Like
Yeah.
everything with the Viltrumites is automatically cool because like even if it's for small segments, like I noticed sometimes the animation kind of like kicks down in the fight, but
Yeah.
other times it's really up. Like when the guy with the red eye, Craig, something like that. Probably not Craig.
I think it's Creed. I think it's Creed.
Yeah, like the general guy.
Craig.
He's flying around and he's like decapitating people and like punching their jaws off, and it looks awesome and gruesome and gritty, and like that's kind of what I come to this show for.
Yeah.
So I like that the war is just a promise of like every episode we're gonna get some badass like Superman action,
Yeah.
and I think that's really delivering. But yeah, I don't really feel like too much of a need to get into all the semantics of it. I just think this is a good episode. There's a
Yeah.
lot of good stuff in here. The arc is exciting. I have some hesitance, but overall, very positive still.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I feel like overall, just a good episode. One cool thing that I will kind of like point out that I thought was interesting. It was cool to see again Oliver's training session throughout all this episode, but it was really cool to see Oliver also teach Nolan the lesson as far as like, oh, we don't have to kill. Like there could be a lesson in it, and it ended up helping him. And then at the end of the episode, he was like, don't kill them because like we need to like the soldiers,
Oh.
you know, it almost like came full circle.
Very good catch.
You know,
yeah.
so it was like, oh, okay, like there's growth happening between these characters, like real time in this
Oh.
episode, you know. So it was just something that was really cool.
Yeah,
to
that's a
see.
great point. I didn't
Yeah.
even pick up on that, but you're 100% right. That's very true.
But other than that, that's literally all I had really to say about the
Yeah.
episode. Yeah,
Good episode.
Yeah,
Great character work is happening. Nolan's super interesting. Mark is at a career high.
yeah,
And we have a really great supporting cast. So I'm really excited for these next two.
100%.
Guys, if you are too, leave a comment below. Let us know what's going to happen. Only if you haven't read the comic. If you read the comic, stay away from our comments section. I don't want to know. But if you enjoyed, we're going to be covering the next 2 episodes week to week. We're also covering The Boys pretty soon. It might be up already. If it isn't, it's coming. And yeah, we're covering movies, shows, etc. You know how it is. You're a subscriber. With that, I've been Sean Villa,
I'm Mikey Feddiston.
and we'll see you around.
This is the culture.